Hello students, in this lesson we'll study about the types of gradients. We have seen in the previous lesson that gradients is nothing but the slopes given to your railway tracks. So in this lesson we'll see how many types are there. So there are totally 4 types of gradients: ruling gradient, the momentum gradient, the pusher gradient and the station yard gradient. So one by one let us study about these 4 types. The first type of gradient is the ruling gradient. Now this is nothing but the permissible gradient that we have to provide to the railway track. The permissible, that is the term. What is the term? Permissible gradient. Permissible gradient that we have to provide to the railway track throughout the length of the track is nothing but your ruling gradient. That much of gradient is the maximum which you can give. More than that you cannot go. Okay, so the other name for this is the maximum permissible, right? If you decide on a particular type of gradient for a particular length, ruling gradient is the maximum which you can give. Beyond that you cannot give the gradient for the movement of the railway trains, right? Less than that you have to give, more than that you will not be able to provide. Understood? So this will mainly depend upon the power of the locomotive that is used for pulling up the load of the railway track. So mainly it depends upon what? It depends upon the power of the locomotive. So what will happen? More power is required for steeper gradients and less power is required for non-steeper gradients, right? Locomotive is nothing but your engine, right? The engine capacity is nothing but, so power of locomotive is nothing but the engine capacity. More the engine capacity, it can move or pull the railway track on the steeper gradients. Understood? Now if you observe this figure, this is a straight surface AB. Now we have a gradient there. Say theta is the slope which is there and AC is a formation level where the train has to actually move. Now suppose W is the weight of the train. Say W is the weight of the train. Now this is your surface on which the train has to move. Right now we need some extra power for pulling the train up the gradient or up the slope theta. Suppose on AB we need some amount, but for going on AC, what will happen? Because it's making an angle theta, we need some extra power. Now say W is the load here, theta is the slope here, right? We need some extra power P which is required to pull the train upward. Right now this, say if you observe the perpendicular to the AC line is what? See, this is your perpendicular to the AC line. Okay, now let's call this as your X dash axis and this as your Y dash axis. So this will be making an angle theta. Now if you resolve this, the load component which is vertically downwards, so this will become what? W cos theta and this will be what? W sin theta, because the extra power required will be what? P, which is equal to W sin theta. Now if you observe the theta is very small, so in case theta is very small, what will happen? Say theta is small, what will happen? Your sin theta will become approximately equal to your tan theta. Now let us replace it there. So this will be what? W tan theta. From the figure, what is tan theta? Normally, generally, what is tan theta? Say this is, so this is your vertical distance H, BC, right? Vertical height, you can say. Then AB is nothing but the horizontal distance, capital D. This is your vertical distance, small h. Now tan theta is what? Opposite by adjacent. So what will this be? W into H. Opposite is H, by adjacent is D. Now H into D is nothing but what? Gradient. We have studied in the previous lesson, right? Horizontal, vertical distance by horizontal distance. So this will be what? W into the weight of the locomotive. P is equal to weight of the locomotive W. P is what? The extra power that's required to pull up the train with a slope theta. So W into gradient. Now if you observe, P is directly proportional to your gradient. So the power of the locomotive will depend upon the gradient directly. More steeper the gradient, more power you require. So let me write here, steeper gradient requires more power of the locomotive, right? This is an important point that you have to remember. Now in India we have some standard ruling gradients which we adopt in the railway tracks. So if you go for plain area, it is different, and if you go for hilly areas, it is different. Now let us write down, or let us learn what are the standard values. Okay, so this is majorly I'm writing for one locomotive train or one engine train, what you can say, right? In plains or plain lands, it is 1 in 150 to 1 in 200. Okay, 1 in 150 to 1 in 200. Right, in hilly areas, I'll write hills. Okay, so it is 1 in 100 to 1 in 150. This is what is the ruling gradient. Maximum you can give this much. More than this, you will not be able to provide, because the ruling gradient will be fixed for knowing the maximum gradient. Understood? Steeper than this, you cannot go. Right, say for example, if we decide for a particular length of the railway track, the ruling gradient is, say for example, 1 in, say 180. More than 180 we should not be giving. Whatever gradients are there, they should be less than 180. They can be equal and flatter, but they cannot be more than 180. Right, this is just an example I'm quoting for you. So hope the ruling gradient concept is clear to you now. Now let us move on to the next type of gradient, that is the momentum gradient. Now in order to understand the momentum gradient, it is nothing but the raising gradient on which the train is moving, which takes the advantage of the preceding falling gradient for the development of your moment or your kinetic energy of the train. That's known as your momentum gradient. Now to understand it more better, if you observe this figure, so observe this figure here. This is a valley, right? Valley is what? Steep lower projections like this is nothing but your valley. So let me draw the diagram. So this is your valley, right? So in the valley, what will happen when the train is moving? First it will go down, falling gradient, then it will go up in the raising gradient. Right, now what will happen when it is falling is, it will acquire momentum or speed, or what you can say is kinetic energy when it is falling, and that extra momentum or speed that is acquired by the train will be used for pulling the train up the raising gradient, which is immediately after that. Right, immediately after this falling gradient, whatever raising gradient is there, no, there you can use the momentum that is gained in the falling gradient. Now to write the actual definition, it is nothing but the raising gradient on which a moving train takes the advantage of the preceding falling gradient. Takes the advantage of the preceding falling gradient. Preceding is nothing but behind, or you can say previous or before. Okay, preceding falling gradient in developing momentum, or the kinetic energy, you can say kinetic energy, for its negotiation. So this is the actual definition of the momentum gradient. Now if you observe, the momentum gradient is what? Always greater than your ruling gradient. See here, you have a falling gradient, you have a raising gradient. Now behind there is a falling gradient. In this falling gradient, the train will acquire speed or momentum, and that will be helpful for the train to pull up this raising gradient. This is the best figure to understand the momentum gradient. Understood? So based on this, what do you understand? We have a fixed ruling gradient, right? But in momentum gradient, what will happen? We will have to give more than the ruling gradient in some places. So it's normally greater than the ruling gradient. Greater is nothing but what? Steeper. Here, wherever we use greater term, is nothing but known as the steeper gradient than the ruling gradient, your momentum gradient. Understood? Now where this we will be providing? We will be providing this majorly in the valleys, so that it acquires momentum and the train moves fast up the hill or up the valley. Whenever it has to go up the valley, it will be useful. And also we have to make sure that in momentum gradient we should not give any signals. Why? Because when the train is moving down, it will acquire speed. Now if you want to stop it, it is not possible. It will be in very much speed, right? So when it's moving up there at that particular momentum gradient regions, you should not give any signals. And as I told you, it is majorly used in the valleys. Understood? So the next type of gradient what we have is the pusher gradient. Now this will be majorly used in the mountain areas. Now what is this pusher gradient? It is the gradient which requires one or more additional locomotive for pulling the train up the track. So wherever there is steep mountain regions like this and you have to go up the track, what will happen? You will need more power. More power is nothing but more engines. So that particular type of gradient is called as the pusher gradient. Now if you want to write the actual definition of it, so the gradient which requires one or more additional locomotives are nothing but engines, or you can say extra capacity. For giving extra capacity, obviously we need extra locomotives or engines. So for pulling the train up the track, pulling the train up the track is known as what? Your pusher gradient. Normally, as I told you, this is majorly given in what regions? In your mountain regions. Again, your pusher gradient is greater than your ruling gradient. So nothing but steeper than your ruling gradient. Now, why we have to go for pusher gradient, especially in mountain, is very, very important. Because if you go for normal ruling gradient, what will happen is you will have to do heavy cutting of the rocks, and the roots, the length of the root also will become very high if you don't go for pusher gradient. By giving pusher gradient, what will happen is the cutting will be reduced, and once the cutting is reduced, the root length also will be reduced. You don't go for pusher gradient, what will happen? It will become very uneconomical in case of your mountain regions. Understood? Especially to avoid heavy cutting and to reduce the root length, we have to go for the pusher gradient. In India, if you want an example, it is in the Bora Ghat, that is, say, between your Pune and the Mumbai region, where you have a ghat, you have a pusher gradient, which is having a slope of equal to 1 in 37. So if you compare it with your ruling gradient, how much is the general ruling gradient in hilly areas? We just now studied. It's 1 in 100 to 1 in 150. So if you observe, it is almost 3.5 times lesser or steeper when compared to your normal ruling gradient, right? One more example is in the Darjeeling railways. Darjeeling also is a very hilly area. So there also, in some places, a pusher gradient is provided, which is up to 1 in 20. 1 in 20. So if you observe, this is almost 5 times steeper when compared to your normal ruling gradient. So if you observe, the length can be reduced by 5 times here, and the length can be reduced by 3.5 times here, right? So based on the reduction in length, what will happen? There will be a reduction in the economy also. So especially in mountains, we have to go for pusher gradient, without which the railway track will not become economical. Understood? So this is the third type of gradient. Moving on to the last type. The last type of gradient is the station yard gradient. So what is station yard gradient? The name itself is indicating that it is the gradient which we give in railway stations. Okay, so minimum gradient we have to provide in railway stations. We cannot go for more amount of gradients. Why? Because stopping of vehicles will become very difficult if you give more amount of gradient. So it is the minimum gradient that is. Maximum gradient is what? Ruling gradient. This is what? Greater than ruling gradient, but in valleys, right? Momentum gradient. Pusher gradient, this is also greater than ruling gradient, but in hilly regions. Now moving on to the last one, what is it? It is the station yard gradient, right? It is the minimum gradient that you have to provide, especially for the ease of the drain. Mainly we will provide the minimum gradient in station yards. Why? Because drainage flow should become easy, or else what will happen? There are all chances that the water or the unused drainage water will stand there in the stations. That should not happen. That's why we should give some minimum amount of gradient in the station yards. Understood? if we don't give minimum amount and if we try to give more gradient in case of station yards, what will happen? There are all chances that because whenever there is heavy wind or some additional push to your railways which are standing, the bogies will tend to move. That is one reason. And the second reason is whenever you want to start the train, what will happen? You will need extra locomotives if you give steeper gradients in the station yards. So we have to make sure that we just give the minimum amount which is required for the ease of the drainage. Now here also we have some standard values within which you have to give the station yard gradient. Okay, gradient which is allowed in Indian Railways, the minimum gradient which is allowed is 1 in 1000. Right, for ease of rainwater, this is the minimum what we can have. Right. So similar to this, we have a maximum station yard gradient. Beyond that, we cannot give. The maximum is 1 in 400. Okay, this range is what? This range is only for the railway stations or the station yards. So this cannot be possible for the other regions. This is only for your station yards. Understood? So this is all about the types of gradients. Thank you.